Now, this news poll was conducted before the events of Friday. As a Victorian, how do you think the Prime Minister has responded to it?
The news last week of the firebombing of a synagogue in Melbourne was so confronting because there is no other word for it. This is an anti-Semitic act of terror, and the Jewish community have rightly looked to their government for leadership on this issue and found it sorely lacking. And let's not forget that this issue of the firebombing of a synagogue comes only a week after a protest outside a synagogue in Sydney where worshippers cowered in fear of their safety inside. That's only a month after cars were set on fire in Woollahra and covered with anti-Semitic slogans. And in May this year, there were anti-Semitic slogans graffitied all over a secondary school here in Melbourne. This is becoming progressively worse. There is no other word for it other than anti-Semitism. And unfortunately, that has been emboldened and indeed enabled by a government that has failed to take the lead on these issues.
Should there be an emergency session of National Cabinet?
We certainly agree that there is work that needs to be done to ensure the protection of our Jewish community, our loved Jewish community, a Jewish community in Australia that has contributed to our economic well-being and prosperity for decades, is now being singled out and persecuted. That is unfair and unreasonable. We need to make sure that the laws that we have already are being responded to, that we are enacting those laws. And if the laws are inadequate, well, then they need to be strengthened. This should be a priority of government. And if it's a National Cabinet that takes that, well, so be it. But I think that we'll be looking to the Prime Minister to take the lead on this issue.
What about, and we'll just have to wrap here, Jacinta Allen's no-show yesterday, the Victorian Premier. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah. It was disgraceful. This is a really important part of the fabric of Victorian, of Melbourne society, and Jacinta Allen simply didn't show up. This is a community that are crying out for her help, for her to show leadership. In the same way, dare I say, that Chris Minns has shown in Sydney, Jacinta Allen has failed the Melbourne Jewish community. She's failed the broader Australian community, the broader Victorian community, who are looking to her to protect a much-loved section of Victoria.
Got to say, it was an odd decision by the Premier. Jane, thank you. We'll chat to you soon.